graduates, at this time, I present to you Mr. Tiki Davis.
Thank you, my brother. Good evening. It's a great honor and a pleasure to be before you tonight. I want to give a special thanks to the Board of Regents, Sul Ross State University, and more importantly, to the graduates, because without you, we're not here today. But today, the topic of my speech is going to be the assignment. Today, you're completing one assignment, but this assignment of life is just beginning. And before I get into my story, I want to read a quote to you from John Maxwell. Change is unavoidable, but growth is optional. Are you prepared to make that growth in your life? I was prepared to do that. Now for to take you on this journey, how I was able to attack my assignment. I remember I was in the second grade growing up in Odessa. My second grade teacher named Miss Shaw gave us an assignment. She says, boy, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I raised my hand high, like me. And she goes, no, you go home and you tell your parent what you want to be and ask for assistance with your assignment. So I went home, and the only person that I had when I was 7 years old was my mother. And I went to my mother and I said, Mother, I had a homework assignment and I need help with it. She said, what is it, baby? I said, when I grow up, I want to be a football player. Can you buy me a football? And she looked at me with this look that she was for certain that she could fulfill this request of her boy. But when Christmas came in that back room, in that apartment complex in the projects, it was a Christmas tree that didn't have many decorations, didn't have many ornaments. But up under that Christmas tree, it was a football wrapped in newspaper. So I grabbed that football and I went outside and I would play with that football every day, trying to become my assignment. My mother comes to me and my brother a week later, and she says, I'm going out for the evening. It's New Year's Eve. If you boys need anything, go to the neighbor's house. And we said, yes, ma'am, and make sure you're in the house before it gets too dark. And me and my brother's playing with this football outside, right? And it starts to get dark. And I say, stay out here and play with me, brother. And my brother says, no, you stay out here and chase your assignment by yourself. Graduates, understand in this thing called life, sometimes friends and sometimes family is going to give up on you on your assignment. That day was my brother. So I stayed outside and played with that football because my brother was fascinated with Super Mario Brothers and saving the princess. This is the year the Nintendo came out. So I listened to my mother until it got dark, right? And I decided to go home and get myself ready for bed. And that consisted on going upstairs and taking my shirt off. And I'm laying in bed. And through the silhouette of the window, I could see a shadow coming through. And I really get excited because I'm thinking it's my mother coming home. And she said, I want to tell her all about the assignment. But it was a man that came through that I never seen before. And he came and sat on the edge of the bed like he was going to read me a bedtime story. And before I could ask the man, he asked me a question. And he was like there, just like he was reading me my assignment. And he said, boy, where's your mother? She stole my money. Then before I could answer the man, he grabbed me and wrapped the bandana around my neck and began to squeeze this dream out of me. He began to squeeze the assignment out of me, but the first statement I got to you, no matter where you go in life, don't allow anybody to squeeze your assignment out of you. All I want to do is let this man to let me go so I can go chase this assignment. Then he finally lets me go and I begin to gasp for air and gasp for air. Then he grabbed me by my head and stabbed me in the neck with a screwdriver. Now this assignment is starting to bleed out of me. But my statement to you next is, graduates, don't allow anybody to kill your assignment. Now this assignment is starting to bleed out of my neck. I'm 7 years old. No one's coming to save me, right? Then he put a pillow over my face. Then boom! The first punch knocks me out. Boom! The second punch wakes me up. Now he's starting to beat this assignment out of me. My next statement is to you. When you go around this world tackling on jobs, even if you get turned down on the first, the second, or the third, or the fourth time, don't allow anybody to knock your assignment out of you. Now this man is beating me, and I think my assignment is over, so I decide to fight for my assignment and, more importantly, my dream. How do I see my dream slip away? Because the identification, the symbolization of the assignment was the football. So I decide to fight for my assignment. So I slide between the wall and the bed, and I roll up under the bed, and I'm face down in my own blood and my own tears, and I can smell the bleach, the Comet, the pine salt, the Ajax that my brother and my mother and myself had cleared for government housing. And I'm thinking to myself, my mama's gonna kill me because I got blood on her floor. So imagine the pressure of a 7-year-old boy is upset with himself because he's failing his mother. And everybody always asks me, Tiki, do you remember the man that attacked you? I said, I absolutely do remember the man that attacked me because he was standing right next to my dream, right next to my assignment. But the only thing that I remember of him is the bottom of his blue jeans and his snakeskin boots. And the man ran away, and I rolled from up under the bed, and I picked up my assignment, and I held it close to me. And I went next door where my brother was playing Nintendo, and I bang on the door, and I fall in his arm, and I tell my brother, don't save the princess, save me. Same boy in that same city known for football and oil and Friday Night Lights, 18. I'm starting to live this assignment. I'm running back #1 in my local high school. But that dream was over. That assignment was over as quick as it started because I was accused of a crime. And I went to jail. But the irony of my story, when I went to jail, guess who was waiting on me? My mother. The woman that put the ball in my hand, she was already there for murder. And I walk into the visitation room because the powers that be knew we were in there at the same time, and I could see the disappointment on her face, like, son, you failed the assignment. She didn't say it, but that's what I was thinking. Like, we were supposed to go to pros, you were supposed to buy me a house, but my mother couldn't say that because she failed her assignment. She never went past the 10th grade. And I went in there and I said, but mama, I didn't do what they said I did. I can get life. And she looked at me and said, baby, me too. And I love you. And I turned and she walked away. And I went back to my jail cell and I told everybody in there, when I get out here, I'm going to the NFL. When I get out here, I'm going to the pros. And they would laugh at me. They said, Davis, nobody goes out of here and leaves jail and go to the NFL, much less go to college. 6 months later, I got out. I started working at a local dealership, making $5.25 an hour for 2 years. Then my first earth angel was a guy named Steve Lake. He came to me and said, Tiki, I want to invest in you. I want to invest in your education. He said, any college you want to go to in the United States of America, I'll foot the bill. If you want to go to University of Texas like my son, Chris, or you want to go to UCLA like my boy, Blair, I said, I'll go anywhere. But out of all the colleges in the world, I picked this college somewhere in between Odessa and El Paso. I became a Lobo, right? So the most passionate part of this story was the waiting part of it. Because I didn't want to let anybody know that I had applied for college. I didn't even tell Mr. Lake that I had applied. I was living with my foster parents on 2706 East 11th Street, and I watched the mail every day, and the letter came in the mail from Sul Ross State University. It had the bar on the letter. And many of you had that letter when it came to your house, see if you was accepted or not. So I go in my room and I closed the door. And I sat on the bed because I'm either going to celebrate or cry my eyes out by myself. And I opened the letter and it said, June 1999. And I read it slow and it said, Tiki Davis, you have been accepted to the University of Sul Ross. And I sit there and I cried, but my assignment was ignited again. So I took that football because I was working out. I was preparing for the opportunity to play football again. So now that next semester, I was a student athlete. Understand what I said, I was a student athlete. So I came here to Sul Ross. For 2 years, I played football, but at the age of 23, I realized I wasn't good enough. So I had to put down the football and I picked up the books because I realized I just didn't want to be a player on the field of athletics. I want to be a player in life. The only reason I'm on this stage today is not what I did at Jackson Field, it's what I did in life. I'm a player now, but how did I do it? I made a total commitment to my assignment. I challenge you to make a total commitment to your assignment. If you want to be great, I'm an alumni here and I'm one of the best in the world. In the world, you can be next, but how do you do it? I'm going to teach you that before I get done. So now, when I put that football down, and now everybody knows that I'm not playing football on campus, except that lady that put the football in my arms. So I'm in Fletcher dorms, and my phone rings. And on the other end, it's that mama. And she calls me my brother because my voice is so mature. She says, Kevin. I said, no, mama, it's me, Tiki. She said, oh, baby, you sound so good and so mature. I said, yes, mama, I'm a man now. I said, but mama, I got some good news and I got some bad news. And she said, what? I said, well, the bad news is, mama, I'm not playing football no more and I'm not going to be able to buy you that house. I'm not going to the pros. She said, that's not so bad, baby. She said, what's the good news? I said, the good news is, mama, I'm going to graduate in May. I'm going to be the first person from my family, the first person from the hood to graduate college. And she says, that's good, baby, and I'm proud of you. So now the woman that had put the ball in my hand accepted this new assignment. Now I had a new why. I'm going to be a college student. Then mama said, son, calm down, boy. I got some good news. I said, what is it, mom? She said, I'm going to be there. I just made parole. But she says, boy, before I hang up, I got some rules for you. I got another assignment for you. She says, I need you to send me $40. She said, the first 20 is for my medical report because I'm sick and I need help when I get out. And she said, the second $20 is for me some tennis shoes because I'm working in the kitchen and the shoes that I got has laces and I can't bend over and tie my shoes because my feet have swollen so much, so I need the straps. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, lastly, before I let you go, the warden of the prison is going to be calling and giving you some instructions about my date of release. I get out January the 6th and the word deliver my prophet. I said, yes, ma'am. Like clockwork, December the 31st, 2001, the warden of the prison calls me. Ring, ring, ring. I answer the phone. I said, hello? She said, this is Tiki Davis. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, this is warden such and such. I just want to let you know that Karen has expired. I said, I know, warden. My mom told me you're going to be calling. And I know she has expired because she's getting out in 6 days. She said, son, you don't understand. What do you want to do about burial arrangements? So the woman that put the ball in my hand that supported my first assignment is no longer here with me. I cried like a baby, but graduate, I still had work to do. So I put my big boy pants on and I came back here to Alpine, Texas. I sat where you sat. The mission was still the mission. The standard was still the standard. It didn't matter where I came from, who I came from, the environment was I around. I was going to make history. And through that, I was going to be the first person in my family to graduate. And I did that. I buried my mama and I came back and I finished the assignment. And as I get ready to close this thing, because I don't want to hold you too long, because it's not about me, but it's about you. When you leave this place, and when you come back to this place, today this happened to me, and they don't know that I had already worked this in my speech. When you come back to a place, two statements that you're going to hear. I was right about you, or I was wrong about you, right? Let me explain how them two work. The right about you is the people that supported you when you were coming here to this university. First, this university supported me by giving me an opportunity. There was a lot of people and a lot of smiling faces that was here when I was here that supported me, and I want to say thank you for that. You believed in me, so today we can celebrate. But if some of those people, when I was here, didn't support me so much, and I'm hoping we can celebrate today and they can come up to me and say, Tiki, I was wrong about you, humbling themselves enough to say, I was wrong about you, and we can all celebrate. But as I close, and I want to tell you the most important thing is not the degree that's in your hand, it's this change in life that you're going to experience along the way. The most important thing that you got is not that degree. The most important thing that you got is between your ears, is your brain. But we call it mindset now, right? That mindset. And the next thing is what's in your chest, is your heart. Is your heart. And if you put mindset with heart, that equals character. And your character will get you to the top. That's my time. I'm Tiki Davis. I'm a Lobo, and thank you.